What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Baby Shack and I'm here to help you become profitable. So today we are kind of gonna do like a trade recap, and it's also an active trade that I'm in at the moment, so it's not necessarily going to be a trade recap of this specific trade, which it may not work out. We just had a 1 minute break of that high, but it was a weak break, meaning that we broke structure with a wick. And so now this is my 1 minute low or higher low. But we're gonna do a trade recap of, I think, this trade right here. I believe this is the trade I took. I have to figure out how to get my market executions on this account. Where do I want to do it at? Let's do it in TradingView. So starting off on the weekly, if you guys have been paying attention to my videos, you'll know that I was expecting some type of higher high on the NASDAQ or the S&P 500. At first, it was the S&P 500 because we have higher highs, higher lows. And you can see this is a slight higher high. And if we pull up the NASDAQ also, we actually have a SMT, which I didn't notice until I think yesterday or earlier this morning. There's a SMT on the NASDAQ, so and the S&P 500. Let me go to the actual NASDAQ. So you can see right here, we have a higher low on the S&P right here. And then we have a lower low on the NASDAQ. So that is a clear sign of manipulation to the downside. And one, this shows me that the S&P is stronger than the NASDAQ at the moment, which you can see we ended up making that new higher high. And for the NASDAQ, we did not make a higher high. So now that gives us a SMT, I believe, at the highs. So now there's a higher time frame SMT up here, but the overall trend is bullish. So I wouldn't be surprised if this SMT for the bearish side does not hold. Now going back to the NASDAQ, let's start right here. So there was a SMT right here on the weekly time frame. Weekly SMT, and then there's a weekly SMT up here as well. Now we can see we're in an overall uptrend on the weekly time frame. So if anything, I expect for us to potentially continue higher based off of where we've been going. So we have our higher lows and higher highs being created, and then we get that lower low SMT, and then this SMT at the highs as well. But this is also low resistance liquidity, or liquidity that we can target for buy orders. So you have this high sitting right here. You have the inside of this candle, this high and this high, which is a ton of liquidity for us to take. We also just took liquidity on the bottom side of the market going down. We took this low and this low, and now we're most likely at the very least headed to this high. This is also a weekly order block right here that we are sitting in. Order block, because this is the last down candle before this up move, this push to the upside, and this last down candle also took all of this liquidity after going down and pushing to the upside. So we have a lot of reasons as to why I believe we should be heading higher on the weekly time frame. Now let's go down to like the 4-hour time frame on the NASDAQ. So this for me was our 4-hour structure, and it was pretty wonky at the moment, kind of back and forth. We made this higher high, and then we made this lower low. Now you can see right here, we had our breaker structure to the downside on the 4-hour breaker structure. But then we had this strong push to the upside, 4-hour breaker structure to the upside now. And we had a clean break and close above. So for me, this kind of gave me a few things. First, we get a reaction inside of this area which for me creates what is called a flip zone. But we also broke completely through this order block, this last up candle, or this part of the up candle before the down move. Let's see if the 3 hour looks better. So we could consider this the order block, whatever you want to call it. And we completely broke and closed through that. So this for me creates a breaker block on the 4 hour time frame. So you can see this 4 hour breaker block has been formed, and now we are reacting out of it. So I expect a reaction from either this zone, but mainly this breaker block, targeting some liquidity to the upside. You see all these highs that are stacked right here. This is major. This is a major support and resistance level and liquidity. So I believe that this is now the target for us for the short term. Now, that is essentially what this trade was based off of that I took today. I actually wanted to see us come down last night one more time under this liquidity and then head to the upside, but I guess the market doesn't want to do that. Let's see how this position's rolling so far. We're now going down, which is completely fine. I already secured 467 on the day, so this one is at break even, and I'm just letting it do its thing. You can see we kind of had a change of character. We had another 1 minute breaker structure to the upside right here, and then we had a 1 minute breaker structure to the downside, which leads me to be bearish now unless we break this 1 minute high. And you can also see we're coming down with some imbalance, which means that this push on the 1 minute is fairly strong. So going back to this is what I wanted to see, but we didn't get that yesterday. We just got a straight push to the upside, kind of breaking through here, which I knew was possible. And that's how that looks at the moment. But for the trade I took this morning, expecting that we were going to continue up because we created a 4 hour imbalance down here, telling me that price was strong. We actually had two. I expected us to at least take this high. And then I woke up and also saw this move as well. So going down to the 5 minute time frame, let me see where that position was. It was right down here is where I took that buy position. It's going to ring most likely now. So mapping out the 5 minute structure, we have our high, low, higher high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Once we made this lower low, I wanted to see if we were going to sweep, which you can see we did. We swept this liquidity down here after also breaking structure to the upside. We're also tapping into a 30-minute imbalance, which is what they call a higher time frame PDRA or area of interest, which I don't really call it that, but some people do. I just call it 30-minute imbalance. Really, the whole purpose of it is just to have a point of interest, though. So 30-minute imbalance. This is also a 30-minute demand level. Demand. Let's check on the position real quick. Looks like it's going to get stopped at a break even. That is completely fine. Let me make sure I take this sell position off. And so knowing all of this, expecting us to at least come up and take this liquidity right here, you can see I should have it marked on this. Yes, I do. You see liquidity target. This was my overall target. We did not hit this part of the high, but we got very close. So I took partials at this high right here. So having all of that in mind, this being my target, this being my 5 minute high right here. Oh man, my mouse is on my iPad now. Uh-oh. 5 minute lower high. I wanted to potentially see this broken, and I was on the 1 minute time frame, or actually I was on like the 15-second and 30-second. I saw this trend line building right here. Now, what happens when you get a trend line breakout in the direction you want to see? You typically get a continuation. So once we had this strong candle after sweeping this liquidity, I figured it was going to create an imbalance that we could tap back into, but I got in early on the position and this is what it looked like. And then this was obviously the first target where I took partials, a 1 to 2 essentially, or a 1.94 if you want to be technical. And then we went all the way for a 2.3R. Now, my expectation was that we were going to hit this high right here for a 3.5R and even continue up on to take out this liquidity right here, as well as the equal highs. So this was obviously the overall goal for this trade, and that's fine. We could still get stopped out and price can come back and then tap back into this 30-minute again and then give us the same opportunity. Also, we could be coming down to take out this liquidity down here and tap into one of these 4-hour imbalances and then continue to the upside.
Order filled.
So you can see that order has been filled and that is completely fine. Maybe we can get a re-entry off of this, but with the strength that price is pushing down right now, I don't know if I want to re-enter. Let's see what we're given on this. We have our 5-minute breaker structure right here. We push in, and then so the 5-minute is now bearish for me right here, because you can see we were going up, down, up, down, up. So I'm expecting a reaction in here to potentially bring us lower. We have to check a few time frames. Let's check the 15-minute. 15-minute is still bullish. 15-minute imbalance. We could reject out of here and continue up. But anyways, that is why I had this trade set up, mapped out. This is still a 4-hour breaker, so really we should expect the 15-minute time frame to hold this and for us to continue up from it. That's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next episode.